I just earned $57,400,000 from a single token sale, declared Donald Trump, then 79 years old, to a stunned gathering of reporters at the start of his second term in the White House. It was an announcement that shook both the financial world and ordinary citizens looking on with disbelief. How did the once purely real estate-focused magnate turned president secure such a mind-boggling amount from a crypto venture? And more importantly, what did this bold move mean for the future of digital assets in the United States? Today we are diving headfirst into the fascinating journey of how Donald Trump, alongside business partner Stephen Witkoff, co-founded a crypto powerhouse called World Liberty Financial. Over the course of this story, we will explore not just the incredible scale of their stablecoin enterprise, but also the conflicts, triumphs, and controversies that followed. By the end of this narrative, you will have a deep understanding of how these moves might reshape America's financial landscape, and why critics and supporters alike cannot stop talking about Donald Trump's digital ambitions. We will peel back the layers on how the $57,400,000 windfall fit into Trump's broader plan to elevate his country as the global crypto leader, his signing of the executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and the mysterious rise of the Trump meme coin. Buckle up, because this is one roller coaster of a story that ties politics, finance, and technology together in an explosive package. Let us journey back to the closing days of the 2024 year. The White House had released an official government ethics report spanning well over 200 pages, detailing the assets and financial disclosures pertinent to President Trump. Nestled among the usual references to real estate holdings and corporate ventures was a curious mention: World Liberty Financial, $57,400,000 from crypto token sales. This was more than a random footnote. It was a milestone, signifying a moment when blockchain, politics, and traditional business acumen all converged in a single paragraph. World Liberty Financial had been quietly brewing behind the scenes for quite some time. Stephen Witkoff, an American real estate investor and attorney, had joined forces with Donald Trump a few years prior to conceptualize a platform that sought to leverage blockchain for global financial inclusion. According to the bright promotional material their joint team had produced, the founders wanted to break down geographic and economic barriers. They proposed on-chain infrastructure that would enable anyone, and everyone, to transact, save, and invest in a fully transparent, secure, and permissionless manner. Their ultimate mission was to give the everyday person the same fair shot at financial opportunities that had long been dominated by established banks. At the center of this grand experiment is the World Liberty Financial Token, a stablecoin known as USD One, which claims to be pegged one-to-one with the United States dollar. The concept might not seem entirely new, as stablecoins had been in circulation for quite a while. However, what made USD One stand out was its creators' commitment to transparency. They insisted that every single token in circulation was backed by short-term treasuries and reliable cash equivalents. Moreover, these reserves underwent quarterly audits administered by respected firms. Critics, of course, had plenty to say. Some argued that stablecoins simply replicated fiat currencies in a more volatile environment, while supporters lauded the potential for greater efficiency and broader financial freedom. In the early days, when only a handful of private investors could buy into the stablecoin, the market capitalized on the star power of Donald Trump and his family involvement. Trump's sons, Eric, Donald Jr., and Barron, joined the project, each carrying varying co-founder designations. As soon as word got out that the first family intended to reshape the crypto landscape, the news spread like wildfire across mainstream media. Technical hiccups in the token's earliest versions hardly mattered to an eager audience, especially since the coin's price appeared to hold steady at precisely $1. Then, after a brief period of trading, USD One not only held its peg, but briefly soared to $1.01, demonstrating surprising resilience in a market known for its intense volatility. The sensational headlines arrived in earnest when the government ethics report highlighted that the venture had grossed a staggering sum for President Trump, $57,400,000. In typical Trump fashion, he was quick to publicize this windfall. During a press conference in Miami, Florida, where World Liberty Financial maintained a base of operations, he declared that crypto was the future of American finance. Critics, particularly among traditional banks, were not convinced. They argued that Trump, in his role as president, should prioritize stable governance over the perceived risk of endorsing an unregulated sector. Yet Trump stuck to his guns, reiterating that the United States could not afford to lag in this new global economic race. But how exactly did this journey unfold under the umbrella of Trump's second administration? After winning the 2024 presidential election, one of Trump's flagship pledges was that he would turn the nation into the crypto capital of the world. This campaign promise seemed bold, especially given how the regulatory environment in the United States had been unclear. Authorities had engaged in multiple lawsuits with other major crypto platforms, leaving entrepreneurs wary of building on American soil for fear of possible shutdowns and legal hurdles. Yet barely 2 months after assuming office, Trump stunned the public by signing an executive order that launched a brand new program, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and a United States digital asset stockpile. That announcement rattled traditional economists and thrilled crypto enthusiasts in equal measure. The central premise was that the government would, for the first time in history, accumulate a substantial volume of digital tokens for the Treasury, partly as a hedge against future market fluctuations. It was a double-edged sword, however. Some praised the audacity, citing that it might give the United States a robust footing in a digital-first future. Others denounced it as a reckless gamble, especially considering how unruly crypto markets could get. Trump responded by invoking the earliest days of American independence, portraying crypto as the modern frontier of innovation and self-determination. He boasted that the United States, under his leadership, would not be overshadowed by any other nation in harnessing the power of blockchain. We cannot talk about Trump's crypto ambitions, though, without addressing the arrival of a curious phenomenon, the Trump meme coin. It was on the 18th of January, 2025, a date etched into the minds of both supporters and detractors, that he launched his own digital token, named simply Trump, stylized with a $sign. It is time to celebrate American greatness, and I want to give people a coin that speaks directly to the American spirit, he proclaimed on live television just 2 days before he was set to be inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States. Skeptics dismissed it as a stunt, but the coin's market capital soared to over $14 billion overnight, marking one of the wildest surges the crypto universe had ever seen. As if the spectacle of the Trump meme coin was not enough, the president soon toyed with the idea of pegging it to intangible elements of American cultural identity. Trump teased that the coin might one day be pegged to the morale of the nation's workforce or the strength of American values. These ambiguous statements caused a host of comedic meme spin-offs, spawning thousands of jokes on the internet. Yet, ironically, the coin endured. It carved out its place in the cryptosphere, garnering intense speculation as to whether it would become more valuable than other meme coins that had preceded it. Whatever verdict the markets might eventually deliver, the coin's connection to a sitting president and the potential regulatory advantage that came with it ensured it remained the talk of every digital forum. If you are intrigued by how this real estate mogul turned crypto advocate managed, in what is now known as his second presidency, to generate momentum for his digital asset crusade, let us keep exploring. World Liberty Financial, from the vantage of market analysts, was not simply an isolated success. It was a microcosm for the president's broader mission. The crypto company's stablecoin was not only an investment tool, but also an ideological symbol. It purported that freedom, liberty, extended to finance, and the path to that freedom was on-chain, beyond the watchful gaze of traditional banks. The approach appealed to many disillusioned with big finance, but likewise invited condemnation from those skeptical of this brand of economic populism. Behind the scenes, compliance teams within World Liberty Financial worked furiously to ensure that everything they did remained above board. They filed for numerous licenses across state jurisdictions, established open communication channels with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and even engaged in dialogues with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, hoping to keep their operations transparent. Meanwhile, the president leveraged his personal ties to push for more crypto-friendly legislation, prompting concerns about conflicts of interest. Was it ethical for the powerful occupant of the White House to shape the rules for an industry in which he himself held major stakes? Reports suggest that there were late-night Capitol Hill sessions, where lawmakers debated the complexities of pegged digital assets, stablecoin audits, and the potential for unscrupulous individuals to exploit the system. Often the name Trump wove itself into the conversation. That alone inflamed passions among political factions. Pro-administration senators and representatives maintained that this was the dawn of a new American renaissance, one that should be encouraged without undue red tape. Opponents insisted that giving a sitting president so much clout over a fast-emerging and scarcely understood financial mechanism risked plunging the economy into chaos. The friction turned bitter when certain subcommittees demanded a deeper investigation into World Liberty Financial's business model, scrutinizing how exactly it delivered that massive infusion of cash to President Trump. Meanwhile, the day-to-day operations at World Liberty Financial pressed on. Executives boasted that the stablecoin's liquidity soared well beyond $2 billion in market capitalization, with daily trading volumes in the high hundreds of millions. Enthusiastic crypto traders embraced it, citing the predictable peg to the dollar as a sign of reliability. Over time, the token's value stayed shockingly stable, deviating only fractionally from exactly $1 per coin. This success cultivated trust, especially in markets that typically found the crypto world perplexing. In a series of interviews, Trump credited his unstoppable business mindset for the stablecoin's popularity. He touted that no matter what critics said, the United States was finally wearing the crown for innovation. Day by day, smaller crypto startups established local headquarters in Miami, California, and other corners of the nation, drawn by the White House's favorable attitude and the prospect of less restrictive regulation. Incrementally, the seeds of a genuine crypto ecosystem in the United States were sown. Blockchain summits in major American cities thrived, and it seemed like every new token launch featured cameo appearances by some figure in the administration. By the time the coin had hovered around its pegged value for months on end, skeptics began shifting from disbelief to grudging recognition that perhaps the president's foray was not merely a short-lived publicity stunt. If this twist in the story resonates with you, feel free to give this video a like so that the conversation continues. It takes just a moment, and it helps everyone see that you find this topic exciting. Things became even more remarkable around the middle of the 2025 year, when President Trump formalized the strategic Bitcoin reserve, injecting the government with a limited but highly symbolic store of Bitcoin. He argued that these digital tokens would serve as assets akin to gold reserves of decades past, providing stability if the traditional financial system encountered turbulence. Skeptics in mainstream finance considered this a dangerous experiment, while crypto fanatics praised it as the ultimate sign that the president believed wholeheartedly in digital assets. Of course, not all attempts soared. In certain areas, unforeseen regulatory hurdles sprang up, with states in disagreement over how to tax or treat stablecoin investments. Some state attorneys general questioned whether the Trump administration's actions left the door wide open to unsavory practices like money laundering and tax evasion. In response, the White House highlighted the extensive audits undertaken by World Liberty Financial and insisted that America needed to lead by example, establishing the template for responsible crypto usage rather than ceding ground to other nations. In truth, the idea of ceding global leadership in technology and finance to other players was anathema to everything Donald Trump stood for during this second term. Dating back to his earliest days in business, his brand was about dominating spaces where others hesitated. This might explain why he latched onto the vision of the stablecoin so enthusiastically. He had once declared that blockchain technology could be the greatest transformation of commerce since the birth of the internet. By establishing significant strategic reserves and endorsing leading coins from the White House, he was taking a gamble, albeit one he believed to be strongly in America's favor. Let us not forget the intangible swirl of controversy that constantly accompanied him. Detractors fumed that all this might simply be another glorified brand endorsement. After all, the Trump name had, over the years, adorned skyscrapers, golf courses, wine bottles, and more. Why not a digital token? The difference was, of course, that now he occupied the highest office in the land. Every financial pivot or policy shift carried national implications. Could a man so deeply invested in the crypto sector remain impartial at the negotiation table with foreign heads of state, especially if the conversation turned to digital currency regulations or treaties? This question simmered on talk shows across the nation. Economists debated whether the stablecoin phenomenon would prove beneficial for middle-class Americans, or if it would merely line the pockets of executives and early buyers. Some saw a glimmer of hope in the notion that smaller businesses, previously locked out of the financial system, could accept stablecoins as a legitimate means of payment without the exorbitant fees of major credit card companies. Others claimed this was simply an inflated fantasy, that once the high wore off, the coin would slip back to its pegged value and remain inconsequential, overshadowed by older entrants in the crypto space. Eventually, the story of the $57,400,000 payday served as a testament to what happens when the lines between political power and financial innovation blur to a remarkable degree. Still, Trump did not falter. On the contrary, he appeared more confident than ever. His staffers recounted episodes of him personally calling blockchain pioneers and encouraging them to set up shops in major American cities. Some of these fledgling businesses reported unprecedented ease establishing the regulatory framework they needed to thrive. Others said they were frustrated by contradictory signals from state bodies. But the net effect was an undeniable surge in crypto awareness. Americans tuned into local news segments to see how the latest coin fluctuation might affect them. If you want to stay on top of these riveting stories regarding Trump's crypto strategies, along with other big moves in the digital asset space, then consider subscribing now. Do not miss our upcoming deep dives, because more jaw-dropping details are around the corner. In the midst of all these developments, the image of Trump as a champion of blockchain was cemented. Tech magazines ran profiles calling him the first crypto president, and major foreign leaders seemed to watch with growing curiosity, if not outright envy. Some countries had toyed with the idea of their own central bank digital currencies, but very few had the might of a Trump White House that was eager to tie national policy so visibly to a coin. Even in previously inconceivable scenarios, like forging global crypto pacts, America now had leverage. The introduction of the strategic Bitcoin reserve gave the United States a fresh realm of bargaining power. They could always threaten to sell or hold more Bitcoin if the negotiations on other matters soured. Yet, as we edge closer to the dawn of the 2026 year, observers cannot help but wonder, where does the World Liberty Financial stablecoin story end? For all its success and audits, the future can never be perfectly predicted. The supporters proclaim that the best is yet to come, pointing to how quickly digital assets are becoming intertwined with everyday transactions. The critics, in turn, remain convinced that the bubble will burst, that the promise of universal financial liberty will be overshadowed by the harsh reality of volatile markets, security breaches, and uncertain rules. One thing is certain: Donald Trump, ever the showman, instills a sense of spectacle in all he touches, and the realm of cryptocurrency is no exception. His claim to have made $57,400,000 off World Liberty Financial stands out as both a flamboyant achievement and a symbolic marker. In it, Americans see a portrait of a man who refuses to abide by traditional political or financial boundaries. Whether history will remember him as the champion who set the stage for a flourishing new era of blockchain-based commerce, or as a reckless gambler who harnessed the White House to boost his personal interests, is a question that might only be answered in decades to come. Nevertheless, for now, the conversation is undeniably captivating. Each new quarter brings fresh audits for stablecoins, and every hearing in Congress draws the curious eyes of the masses. We live in an era where governments, for the first time on record, hold digital assets right alongside age-old gold bars and fiat reserves. And with Trump at the helm, the stage is set for a saga so enthralling it feels impossible to look away. As the White House continues to champion open chains, new token sales, and creative expansions of the strategic Bitcoin reserve, the lines between politics and technology converge in ways that would have seemed unthinkable just a decade ago. No matter which side of the fence you occupy, whether you regard Trump's crypto revolution as a tremendous leap forward or a hazardous path to financial chaos, there is no denying that we are witnessing a turning point. The country stands at the intersection of tradition and transformation, with the outcome far from certain. If this story of high-stakes finance, unprecedented government initiatives, and the unstoppable force of blockchain has taught us anything, it is that the future is brimming with surprises. How we adapt to them, as individuals and as a nation, remains to be written. For now, though, the spotlight stays fixed on President Donald Trump and his improbable journey from real estate billionaire to chief executive and crypto impresario. So, settle in for what promises to be a grand ride into a new frontier. The building excitement around these emerging technologies, combined with the sheer force of Trump's worldwide fame, ensures that even the quietest days in Washington might suddenly explode with news of another stablecoin, another audit, or another multi-million-dollar windfall. This sensational saga shows no signs of slowing, and it beckons all of us to pay attention, remain vigilant, and debate passionately, because, in the end, it is not just about Trump and his tokens. It is about how we define the future of money, freedom, and power in a rapidly changing world.